Hi, this is Donna from Olivia and Marie Create. Oh, sorry, I'm trying to get all the settings working here. Um, Hi. This is the second time. I know I said that I've gone live tonight. Here's the thing. I know I said I would go live at 5:30. I was a bit late going live. It was more like 6 o'clock. Did my whole spiel. Went to upload it and checked it, and turned out that there was no sound. So this is the second go I'm having at telling you my story. And I think someone's coming in to tell me whether I'm actually going live, whether there's actually sound or not. So I've got the nod. There is sound this time. So hopefully you can hear me, and I won't have to tell you my story yet again. But anyway, so this is my story about how I became a creator and a creative person. You see, I wasn't born creative. So I wanted to share this with you because this story about how I became a creative person, because I know that a lot of you followed me when I published a tutorial a few years ago on how to make a little squeezy pot holder. It's great fun. I just made one recently, actually. I love that pot holder, and it's a lot of fun to make, and everyone always enjoys them. But anyway, it occurred to me that you didn't really know that my life has changed a lot in the last 10 years, and especially in the last 3 years since I did the potholder tutorial. And I wanted to share a little bit about what's going on with my life, because I want to keep teaching you and showing you tutorials and helping you and giving you tips and tricks on how to make things, because I love that. But I also want to take the conversation a little bit deeper about the nature of creativity, what creativity can do for us, not just in terms of making cool stuff, but also how creativity can change our lives, your life, because it changed my life. And I want to share that with you. So I thought it would be useful for me to tell you a little bit tonight about how creativity changed my life. I know from personal experience how creativity changed my life. And so I want to share with you how you can tap into your creativity so you can make cool stuff and change your life. And I want to share with you how you can do that by telling you my story of how I managed to do that. So here's the thing. I wasn't born creative. I said that. And I just assumed that meant I would never be creative, right? Because we have this idea, somebody like Picasso or Van Gogh or, Damien Hirst or anybody who we think of as an artist and a creative, they were born with some special gift. The angels dropped it down on them, or the fairies from Sleeping Beauty, right? Gave them this sort of special gift. And that it's not attainable for any of the rest of us, right? Totally BS. I'm here to tell you, okay? I loved geometric proofs, right? I was the kid in my family who was logical and rational. I wanted to be a neurosurgeon. I wanted to go to med school. Thankfully, my prowess at maths stopped at geometry. Maybe a little bit of algebra. I was no good whatsoever once we got to calculus. So med school was out for me. But I did go to law school, which was very logical, very rational. Loved that. I love the logical part of my brain. I love using the logical, rational part of my brain. And I still use it a lot in my life. I need that part of my brain. However, what I don't need is that part of my brain to totally take over the rest of my brain and my body, mind, and soul, and whatever else. And because my brain was doing that, I thought I wasn't creative and that I would never be creative. But even so, there was this tiny little voice inside me for years that kept sort of pecking away at me, right? So, for example, when I was in high school, I didn't think, oh, well, I'm not creative, but I could take a painting class and learn to be creative. No, because I just assumed the gods had not bestowed it upon me. So instead, I took a photography class because I thought if I took a photography class, that's okay because you don't have to be creative. It's more of a techie sort of thing. And what I realized, what I loved about photography, bizarrely and interestingly enough, is I loved taking photos, the creative aspect of it. But what I didn't love was all the techie stuff about it, right? You have to be really technical. You have to know how to make the camera work, and you have to, if you can't control the tech, you can't make the creative photos that you want, right? There's tech always involved in every part of creative work, which you probably know if you're listening to this. So anyway, what I'm saying to you is I learned to be creative, right? Because I kept following that tiny little voice inside me, that tiny little whisper of a yearning, right? That somehow managed to get through to my brain, even though it was sort of rammed with all of this chatter about, you're not creative, what are you doing? Look, you can't do that, you're gonna fail, or you're gonna totally suck, or oh my God, you're gonna take a drawing class? That doesn't look like a face or a hand or a chair or anything recognizable. So I persisted. But I started just by looking. I started by looking at other people's art, right? I started when I was in college, university. I was the reviewer. I worked on the newspaper, and I used to review the shows in the university art gallery. I used to write reviews for the school paper. And I took an art history class at college, and then I moved to Europe. I moved to Germany, and I traveled all around. And I looked at all kinds of amazing art in the museums. Modern art, usually I'm kind of like modern art, you could probably tell. But I just kept looking and looking. And even when I moved to Asia, I was doing photography. Involves looking, right? It involves noticing things. So I did a lot of looking and noticing things. And there was this feeling deep down inside, right? This yearning towards creativity. So a few things happened. One of which was I became a mom, and I had kids, and we were living in Asia. We were living in Singapore, and I couldn't find birthday cakes. I know this seems a long way from creativity, but hear me out. I couldn't find birthday cakes, American style birthday cakes with, like the nice, soft, moist, tasty cake on the inside, and like beautiful soft buttercream on the outside, right? Everything was either it had like whipped cream on it and the cakes were kind of dry, or they had like that fondant stuff, which back then was very strictly like a European thing. Now we have it a lot in the States, but back then it was European. And when I grew up, it was buttercream, baby. When I was a kid and I was having a birthday party, I wanted a buttercream cake. I still do. If you're around, if I have a birthday, I love a buttercream cake. Anyway, a cake with buttercream. Anyway, so I couldn't find these things for my kids, so I learned how to make them. And I learned how to do all these really elaborate decorations. So at the same time, I started taking art classes. Wow. Totally opened my mind up, totally blew me away. I did this course where they taught us that actually that part of our brain, there's a part of our brain, a very old part of our brain where the inner critic lives, that one that keeps chattering, and the one that keeps saying, you're drawing that doesn't look like a hand. Let me do it. I know what a hand looks like. But the problem with that part of your brain is it knows the idea of a hand, but it doesn't really look, doesn't really see the fine detail. Right? So you have to quiet that part of your brain and get access to the other part of your mind, body, physio system that has no language, that does not have access to language. And that is when you're in creative flow. And oh man, that's a beautiful thing. And you lose all track of time, and I can be dying of thirst, but I won't stop because it's so great to be in creative flow once you get in it. So back to the cake story, because this is relevant. It all seemed to come together really because after I started taking those art classes, I was doing a birthday cake for the kids, big Elmo cake. They loved Elmo. Of course, now they're like at university, they're much older, but back then they were little, they loved Elmo. And they came in the one room we had in our house that had air conditioning that was cool enough, because in Singapore it's like over 100 degrees every day, and most of the house, we lived in an old house that didn't have air conditioning, because you couldn't afford it, right? The electricity was too expensive. Anyway, we did have air conditioning in the bedrooms at night, but anyway, so they came in the room where I was piping the Elmo cake, and they were so excited to talk to me, and they were asking me all kinds of questions. Oh, Mom, what's it going to be like? And is it going to have this kind of Elmo and that kind of, and all this kind of stuff? And normally I could talk the hind leg off a dog about a cake that I was making, right? I love to talk about my cakes. I love to talk about how I did it and what I'm going to do, blah, blah, blah. But for some reason, I started getting really irritated with my kids. I didn't want to answer their questions. I was like snapping at them, which was totally out of character in this situation because I love talking about cakes. As you can probably figure, I just love talking, but that's another story. So anyway, all of a sudden it dawned on me when I took this course, this art course, and they had said you have your part of your brain that has language will keep trying to interfere with you, but you learn to sink into the nonverbal part and get into creative flow. And that's what I realized. I'm in creative flow and I don't want to get out. That's why I don't want to answer their questions. So anyway, fast forward a bit, because I'm going on for far too long. Fast forward a bit, my life went through some tough times. And I moved away from Singapore and I moved to London, where my ex-husband, then husband, but now ex-husband, was from. And I became a single mom. And their dad was around, but he was overseas working, and we were divorced, and my life completely changed because then I had to go to work, and I got it. But I was really fortunate. I was able to do a qualification, not as a lawyer, but to work in a bank as a compliance officer, and I got a great job, and I was working with lovely people, and I got paid more money than I thought I would ever get paid again because I hadn't worked for 13 years. I was a stay-at-home expat mom for 13 years. So I had this great life, and then I had a new partner after that. And one morning I woke up about 10 years ago. I remember waking up in the morning and I was kind of like, how did I get here in this life? I mean, I'm really fortunate. I have a better house than I ever thought I would have in London. I have a new partner. And that relationship's going really well. My kids are well settled in school and everything. They have a good relationship with their dad. And I'm making loads of money, but something's off. Something's just not right. And what I realized at that time, I'd stopped creating because I was too busy doing banky things and family things. And I realized that I had lost touch with who I really am. My life didn't feel right. It didn't fit right because I had lost touch with who I really am. So I started to get back into creative flow. I started looking around. I discovered accidentally. I didn't know that at the time. I didn't go, oh, I've lost touch with who I really am. I'm going to go get back to creativity. But I started looking, and I fell into creativity, and I started meditating as well. And after a while, I realized that's what it was. I had lost touch with who I really was, and creativity and meditating together were helping me get back into creative flow and get back in touch with who I truly am and what I truly want. And I have to say, my life is still evolving, right? It's still not, I think, where I'm eventually going to end up. But I know that I want to help you and other women who wake up in the morning and go, man, is this all there is? Something just doesn't feel right. I want to help you get back in touch with your true self and what you truly want. Because I think everybody deserves, every single person on this planet deserves to wake up in the morning excited for what the day holds for them. And really looking forward to their day and to have a life full and rammed with passion and purpose and joy and meaning and fun and adventure. Just a bodacious, creative, adventurous life. So that is why I want to keep helping you. I want to keep talking to you about how to make cool stuff. And I'm going to keep sharing all my tutorials and tips for what I know. Now, the medium could be anything, right? Any creative medium works. It doesn't matter. For me, my favorite creative media are, I say media because there's more than one. I love quilting. That's my number one. But my second one is baking, so I do a lot of that. So if you want to see some baking tutorials, drop a comment below because I can teach you how to do a mean gingerbread cookie. And I can teach you a really easy way how to decorate it. And how to bake it and how it's really good, how to roll it out. I have a secret technique for rolling it out and getting it cut because every time you try to roll it out when it's cold and then it gets warm and then you try to cut it and then you can't pick it up again. Anyway, I've got some techniques. But anyway, it doesn't matter. The point is I want to help you learn to develop and tap into your creativity. So you can use that as a tool like I did, getting into creative flow. Use that as a tool to get back to your true self and what you truly want. Because here's the thing. There's one thing I know. You're not broken. You're not broken. And all the problems you have, I can't tell you how to solve those problems because only you know how to solve those problems. You already know. You already have everything you need to solve all those problems there inside you, where you deep down know what you truly want. Okay? So, what I can share with you is the tools and techniques that I use to get into creative flow so I can learn to listen to my body and my soul and my mind and not just listen to that mind, that ego part of my brain that has language that's going yattering at me all the time. Oh my God, you got to do this. You can't do that. Oh my God. So I want to share those things with you so you can design your own way to fix whatever problems, whatever stuff bugs you in your life, okay? But you don't need fixing because you're not broken, right? So, what else do I want to say? I want to see a world where every woman learns to get into creative flow and values her internal creativity deeply because we all have it and it's so important. And I want to see a world where we all can learn how to rebalance our body with our mind and our soul and stop relying so much on that mind. Because I'll tell you a little secret. That part of your brain that has language can process about 40 bits of information per second. It's kind of impressive, right? When I first heard this, I thought, well, that's 40 bits of information per second. Who would have thought? Because when my kids are talking to me, and when they were little, they used to, and even now sometimes, they would both talk to me at the same time. And I go, hang on, I got 2 ears, but I can only hear one person going in. So how that part of my brain with the language processes 40 bits of information per second, I do not know. And I thought that was pretty impressive. And then after that, I heard, but the body and the soul and the intuition and the nonverbal part, that whole nonverbal part of your brain, your body, your brain, your neurophysiological system processes, wait for it, 11 million bits of information per second. There you go. So if I'm trying to solve a problem, or if I'm trying to figure out how to fix something like, God, my work sucks. My job, my work sucks. My relationships suck. My relationships at work suck. I want to find my passion. I want to find my purpose. Who am I really and what do I really want? Which part of my brain do you think I'm going to use? Which part of my brain? Am I going to use my whole brain, that old part of my mind with language, or I'm going to use the body, mind, brain, soul, neurophysiological system that works all together, which processes 11 million bits of information per second instead of the 40 bits of 40 as opposed to 11 million bits per second. I can do that math. My math is not that good anymore, but I can do that math. And I'm really sorry, but I turned off the notifications and now I'm getting a notification on my phone. Oh, we're so professional here. Anyway, so leave me a comment below. I know this all sounds really woo-woo, and I am a little bit woo-woo, but I am not unicorn and cotton candy woo-woo, is all I'm saying. There's not going to be a bunch of unicorn and cotton candy stuff here because let me tell you, I have a really filthy sense of humor. I do love a bit of dirty innuendo, and I swear like a sailor. So it's not going to be cotton candy and unicorns, and I'm really interested in how the physiological parts of our brain work. Like I said, I wanted to be a can't even say it now, see? I wanted to be a brain surgeon when I grew up. So it's not just completely airy-fairy stuff. It's going to be based in fact and what we know about how our brain works. So drop a comment below and tell me, please, were you a born creative or did you have to learn creativity? And if you think you're not creative, tell me that too. And tell me whether you think you are creative or not. What would you struggle with the most? What would you like to hear to get the most help with, basically, with being creative? So, were you born creative? And if you weren't born creative, are you creative now? And whether you're creative or not now, what would you most like to hear about how to become more creative and how to help you with your creative journey? So I'm Donna from Olivia and Marie Create. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and click the bell below. I think it's sort of somewhere down there, so that you will get a notification the next time I'm up live, which will be sometime tomorrow, hopefully, at around 5:30. But technology, God only knows. But we'll be sometime tomorrow around 5:30 UK time. But when you subscribe, hit the bell so you get a notification so you know when I post things. And also I'm going to start posting some more polished videos, which you may or may not like better. But anyway, you can let me know. And don't forget to like this and share it with all your friends, okay? Thanks a lot. Bye for now. Okay.